Going to discuss third normal form, and the third normal form, for a table to be in third normal form, it must be in second normal form, and there should not be any transitive dependency. And so transitive dependency means that non-prime attribute should not determine non-prime attribute. So why do we call it transitive dependency? Here the concept is that non-prime attribute should not determine non-prime attribute, and if it is so, it is called transitive. Why it's called transitive? The reason is that key attributes determine some non-prime attribute, and that non-prime attribute in turn determine another non-prime attribute. So here becomes a transition from key to NPA and from NPA to another NPA. So this is called transitive dependency, and to elaborate the concept further, we discuss some examples. Say you have a relation with 4 columns and attributes w, x, y, and z, and this is a functional dependency set for that relation. And to determine whether this table holds the third normal form or not, we will start with the procedure of finding candidate key. So what should be the candidate key here in this table? So to find the candidate key, we will simply start with some super key, and a simplest super key may be combining all the columns. We combined all the columns w, x, y, and z, and then we will simplify that super key, keeping in view these functional dependencies. And here you know that if you have y, you can find z. So as we do have y here, so we can get rid of z from here, so we get this one. And again, looking in the functional dependencies, you know that if you have x, you can determine y. So as we have x here, so we can get rid of this y, we get this one. And again, from this relation, you know that if you have w, x can be derived, so we can remove x from here, so we are left with w only. So if you have w, you can find all these columns, and so w is a candidate key, and w is the only candidate key in this relation because w does not exist on the right hand side of these functional dependencies. So next we need to know about the prime attributes and non-prime attributes. So here, because w is the only candidate key, so w is the only prime attribute, and x, y, and z are non-prime attributes. So now we have to check the condition that non-prime attribute should not determine non-prime attribute. But here, as you see, that this y is determining z, and both are non-prime attribute, and this x is determining y, and both are non-prime attribute. So it is not in third normal form. So let's see another example. Let's say you have a relation with these columns and these functional dependencies, and we need to find the candidate keys. So in start, we combine all these columns to get a super key, and then we simplify this super key using these relations. And here in these relations, you know that if you have uv, you can determine w, x, y, and z columns. So we have uv here, so we can remove these 4 columns, so we are left with uv. And now uv does not exist on the right hand side, so uv is the only candidate key. So from this candidate key, you can categorize the columns into prime and non-prime attributes. So u and v are prime attributes, and these 4 columns w, x, and y, and z are non-prime attributes. So now again we need to check that condition that non-prime attribute should not determine a non-prime attribute, this condition. And here, as you can see, that although v is a prime attribute, but x is not prime attribute. So as a whole, these two, vx becomes non-prime, and this non-prime is determining z, which is again a non-prime. So it is not in third normal form. So this is it. Stay tuned for the next lectures.